What a wonderful.
Hi guys, and welcome back to Real. I've been like deciding on my intro still, and I noticed that in yours you do like a full intro.
So here's something about me. I hate to make any sort of intro.
Okay, because I hate it.
I hate it, and they had me create like a pre-recorded one, and honestly, it's getting really easy.
Okay, well, we're here with Kenzie Elizabeth. You guys already know her. She's an insanely huge podcaster. She's an OG YouTuber and just a content queen. And you helped me get my life together. You made me feel like I have my life together.
Thank you. That was so nice. Something I had to tell you, because I tell everyone this story.
What?
I was thinking about this the other day. I don't even think I've ever told you this.
What?
When we were at Coachella at Revolve Fest, I like fell in love with you. I was like, she is the greatest person. Because also, I don't remember if I was anxious. I think I was anxious. I don't remember. I just think that there was a lot going on.
There was a lot.
It was a lot. And you are so maternal. You were the most maternal, comforting person I think I've ever met in my life.
Oh my god.
Like, I was like, I feel so safe. Like, I was like, thank God I had Carly in that moment, because I would have lost it.
Stop.
Yeah.
That makes
But I figured I hadn't told you that, because I thought about it after, and I was like, I've told literally the whole world, so.
Stop. You told everyone now.
Yeah, it's like, I'm just running your crazy.
That's so nice. I think you're very much like that too.
Oh, thank you.
You are. You're very chill, calming presence.
Not as much as you.
Thank you.
You know?
I appreciate it. But it's funny because I feel very chaotic in my life, in my brain, but I give off very calm. But I feel like you are very like calm and like organized in your life.
Yeah, I honestly am, but that's because I have such bad anxiety. So I have to, like we were talking about this earlier, like there's been times in my 20s where I've been such a mess. I feel like, and there's like every other day I feel like such a mess, but in order for me to survive day to day, I really have to stay organized.
Have you always been like that?
Yeah, I mean, I like came out of the womb, and my dad has anxiety, and my dad looked at me and was like, oh god, like he knew. So he's like, you know who Ed Milet is? Like Ed Milet is this like macho, like entrepreneur sort of guy, public speaker, has a big podcast, he's amazing. But he's also very emotional. He's just like my dad. So my dad, from a very young age, was like, you need to learn routines. You need to do... Like, my dad created me, basically.
Wow.
But it's all, at the end of the day, to cope with anxiety. Like, all of it.
It's funny because I'm such an anxious person, and I like am on medication, and I've had anxiety my whole life. But I think my parents never instilled like habits. Like, they were very, like, I was the oldest child. They were like, you do you. And, like, we're going to deal with your little sister. So they instilled habits in her, but not in me. And it gave me, like, the most severe ADD. Like, I am so disorganized. So, like, anyone that's, like, so organized in their life and good at, like, just preventing disaster in the end, you know? Like, you do things in order to prevent the chaos later on. Yeah. It's very, like, inspiring to me. And I always like to, like, I'm like, what? How? Just, like, how?
It really, I also think I'm kind of just wired that way.
Yeah, it's because you, from a young age, were already doing it.
My dad, I've actually never asked him, like, how he handled his stuff growing up, because I think he just kind of got through it and realized over time. But I just have always been, like, such a routine girl. Yeah. But I'm really not. I feel like sometimes it'll come off as I'm like, I have so much put together, and I would say like I don't go out as much anymore either, so like, I actually do have fun. I have fun like other ways, but like I love to drink, I love to go out. Like it's not that, I'm just tired. And,
I know, me too.
I'm just tired.
I'm so tired.
I'm so tired. But honestly, like, have you tried? I don't know, because also I'm not like someone who's like anxious and is like, well, try a routine, it'll cure it. But like for me, I just know what works for me personally to prevent losing my mind. No, so I just keep those things in my day to day.
It's funny, like, because I think if you saw me online, you would think that I would be really organized, but I'm like a shit show. Like
I would not have guessed that.
Yeah, I'm a shit show. Like I'm so messy. Like if you walked in my room right now, you'd actually just like
her apartment's really clean.
No, it's clean out because I'm a closet messy person. Totally. It's like I totally present as like that. But yeah, I don't know. I was like stalking all of your videos, and like everything is like my morning routine, my this habit, and I'm
that's because that's what does well too.
It's I need that stuff, and it is inspiring. It like helps people. Like if people told you that it helps them.
Yeah, well, I feel like that's like the number one thing people ask me about. It's really helpful too because I'm very, like, I want to live my life to the fullest and be able to do the most. Like, even earlier I was saying, like, after this trip, I'll have all my episodes batched out to like October. But I'm doing that so that I have freedom this summer to, like, bop around and, like, see friends and go on trips and stuff. So I just get ahead of things. And I'm not, like, insanely strict on a routine minute to minute by any means, but, like, I will go get some sort of movement in every day. Yeah. I'm constantly changing what that is. Yeah. I pretty much stick to, I like to take out, this is something that's helped me actually a lot with anxiety, is taking out, like, making decisions in the morning. So, like, I will just stick to the same breakfast for 6 months until I, like, literally can't look at an egg ever again. You know?
I do that too.
Whatever it is, like, anything that takes decision making out of my morning to where it just, like, is easier, faster. I'm a big journaler, big journal girl.
Oh, I used to journal a lot when I was younger. Now I only do when I have, like, a problem.
Yeah, well, I'm gonna be real with you. I feel like that's me too.
Right? You come back to it, you're like, we meet again.
I'm not journaling, but I'm, like, happy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Dear diary.
I am happy. Like, that's not really it.
Yeah.
But I do like to read and journal. I feel like I've also, as I've gotten older, and, like, I really want to create this life for myself that I love. I've implemented a lot of hobbies, and hobbies have really helped me too because they're really refreshing.
Yeah.
And it, you know, when you're just, like, day to day, I feel like it's really easy to just go on autopilot and be on your phone all the time, or just be doing things that aren't, like, refueling you. Or it all sounds, like, really corny.
Yeah.
I can't really, like,
no, it's not. It's not.
But doing that and implementing hobbies and actually, like, really going and doing the things that I want to do, like, learn a new recipe, go horseback riding, go on a walk, garden, like, whatever it is, read a book. If I'm making sure that I'm doing that stuff day to day, I'm just happier. And I notice a difference, so it makes me stick with it. And I notice a difference when I don't. Like, this weekend I was in Miami. I, like, didn't get last night. By the way, I was literally in Miami for a church conference. Listen to this. Oh I get in. I'm exhausted, but I have friends there. Like, we're all together all the time. So I get to my hotel to check in last night, and I'm so tired. Like, hugging the front desk, and I'm, like, forgetting that people go to Miami to, like, reach. So they're like, wait, like, the guy's like, oh my god, like, where'd you come from? And I was like, oh, just, like, Miami for the weekend. Not thinking anything about it. And he's like, oh my god, what clubs did you go to? And I, like,
oh my god,
I'm not gonna, like, obviously not gonna say, like, oh, I was actually at a church conference. I'm gonna keep going to myself.
You could have.
Yeah, I know, I'm gonna keep going to myself. I'm like, also, I don't want to make him feel, like, whatever.
Yeah.
So I, like, made friends with the front desk guys, and they, like, think I'm gonna, like, rage film this week. And I couldn't get out of the lie.
I was like, where does that live?
No, but I was like, 11's a club there, right? Like, I was like, it was my second time in Miami ever in my life. Yeah, so anyways, I don't know how I got on that tangent, but
11's a strip club.
I know, I did think about that after. I did know that.
Like, it's normal, like, everyone goes there, like, I go there.
Yeah, I know. It was my second time in Miami, so, you know.
That is so funny you were there for that. Wait, how did we get on that tangent?
I don't know, what was I saying? Something
you were going away, I don't know, or habits, something.
I literally have no idea. But basically, I'm living a lie right now.
Okay, fair.
That's, like, what's happening.
No, things get thrown off track, obviously, but it's nice when you can kind of plan. And I have, like, in the mornings, like, I have my workout every morning. Like, I always have my mornings planned out. It's more, I guess, the organization of it all and appointments I'm really bad with. Like, are you good with, like, remembering appointments and, like, that kind of stuff?
I live by my Google Calendar.
Oh,
I put everything on my Google Calendar.
I put everything on my calendar, but, like,
I live by it.
Yeah.
But it helps me, and I have to because I live in Texas. So, like, to do the podcast and stuff, we have to record episodes. We have to plan them, like, 6 weeks out half the time. So, like, I don't really have a choice, but it's like, if I know I'm going to be there, it's blocked off and done. But no, I mean, every single thing goes to my Google Calendar.
Yeah. Do you feel like living where you live, like in Dallas, it helps with how you're organized, like, versus somewhere like New York or LA where things are more chaotic? Like, do you feel like you're at peace where you live? Like, it's more...
Yeah, I don't feel like it's not necessarily that I feel like I'm less busy. It's more... honestly, though, it's just me. I would be organized anywhere. Because even when I was in LA, I was really...
Yeah. Wait, how long were you in LA for?
For almost 5 years.
So can you take me through, like, where you lived in the past? So
yes. So I grew up in Texas.
Okay.
And then I started YouTube when I was 16. And then I moved to LA. This was at the time when, like, everyone was moving to LA for YouTube. But also I was graduating high school early and I needed to get residency. That was like, my main reason for actually moving. Okay. So I like saved like $40,000 for school if I get residency.
Oh my god.
Yeah. So it actually ended up being like the money saver in the long run.
Yeah.
I got a bachelor's degree for $24,000. Isn't that insane?
How? That's
because I went to community but I did it online, and then I went to SEU online.
Wow.
So $24,000.
That's a hack.
Yeah, actually. I'm like really getting off track. I just had a matcha, so
no,
like crazy.
It's fine. We're both like coming off like trips, like
a wild weekend.
Wild church conference weekend.
Yes. So I moved to LA it was like a month before I turned 18. And then I lived there from technically 17 to 22.
Okay.
And then I bought a condo in Dallas, February 2020. And I had a really good house. The house was fine in Studio City, but the rent was so cheap. So I was going to keep that house and go back and forth. So I wasn't planning on moving fully to Dallas, but it was February 2020. And so I just never went back. And then I realized that I actually don't even like LA, so I don't need to be there. But I thought I did when I lived there. Yeah. And I've been back ever since.
Why did you like LA, or what was it like living there?
It's just there's definitely aspects of it. No, honestly, it's just not the same for me. I love my friends there, and actually, the last time I was there, I actually genuinely enjoyed myself for the first time in so long. But it's just it's not the city for me. I'm such a Texas girl.
I just see that is you.
Yeah, I like the wholesome stuff. I like that people are so kind and nice. The relationships are very different. It's just very pure. And people who live in Dallas, when people complain about dating and doing things in Dallas, I'm like, you guys have no idea. And they'll be like, no, when I say a podcast that's just she has no idea what she's talking about. I'm like, guys, I absolutely know what I'm talking about. And please, by all means, go date in LA.
Literally, LA and New York.
Yes.
I mean, I think LA is way worse, honestly, for dating.
Because people actually date in New York, so that's helpful. Yeah. That'll definitely make a difference.
I feel like people in LA don't I don't know. I guess some people do, but I feel like there's so many more people getting actually engaged and married in New York. Yeah. I mean, I guess it happens in LA, but I guess I'm thinking of this scene.
No, I think that dating is a lot better in New York. Yeah. But I think it's still tough, but I think dating is way better. I think there's literally no worse place to date than Los Angeles.
No, it's actually horrible.
It's so
bad. I visit and I'm I don't understand how people date here.
At all. And the thing is they really don't. The amount of friends that I have that are talking to people. Yeah. I did date in LA, but I dated friends. So we didn't just meet out. I ended up the relationships that I was in. We were friends first, so that's how it happened. Nice. Yeah. But I just don't hear my friend. I have so many friends in LA, and they're not regularly going out on dates. My friends in New York are regularly going out on dates. Because
it's New York. It's every week. Girls go on 2 dates in a night.
Yes, they would never do that in LA. Yeah. I don't know a single person. I couldn't even tell you. Yeah, no.
You also can't in LA. You'd have to drive 2 hours.
No, to the commute in itself,
yeah. But so Dallas, what is it like dating there? What do you guys do? I know New York, you go for drinks. That's literally what you do.
Yeah, for dates in Dallas, it's definitely dinner.
And how do you meet people?
So Dallas is a really friendly social city. I mean, it's definitely a lot of apps still. And keep in mind, this is coming from a girl who doesn't date, so this is all my friends. A lot of people, I would say about 70% of people that I know who have gotten into relationships in the past couple of years has been through a friend of a friend. Yeah. Or someone that you knew in college but you weren't super close with, but then you dated post-grad. It's a really friendly city. When you're out, everyone's talking to everyone, so it's pretty easy. It's easy to meet someone if you're putting yourself out there. If you were making a slight effort. People will always be no, it's not. I'm like, okay, but you're sitting in the corner of the bar. Also, same, I'm not trying to do that, but it is,
feel you.
It's a lot easier than LA. For sure.
Yeah, and in New York, but it's funny, I just think, it's funny, when I go to Austin or when I went to Houston, I've never been to Dallas, but in Texas, men actually approach, I find. Where in New York, and especially LA, men do not approach. Yeah. It's the craziest thing. I go there and men are holding the door for you, talking to you, just everyone wants to make small talk. And it's so much easier to get a guy to speak to you.
See, my friends will tell you that no one comes up, but they're all the most stunning girls you've ever seen in your life. But I'm yes, they do.
Maybe they're intimidating.
No, but honestly, it's not that. It's that you're so used to guys opening doors for you, and you're so used to guys being nice to you. I went on an accidental date recently. I had no idea it was a date. Stop. The problem is that guys are so nice to you, and them picking you up and them doing things that's just standard, right? Guys in Texas, So I was halfway through this realizing, I'm definitely not a date.
Wait, how did this happen? How did you think that it wasn't a date?
Because it was like I can't like get specific because it was in like an event kind of vibe.
Okay.
So it was just like I'd done things with them before.
Okay.
So it wasn't actually like the whole story. It would actually make sense as to why. I think it was one of those that like it wasn't. If I would have given a centimeter, it would have been a date kind of vibe.
Okay.
I think it would have switched to that, but I was so like, this is not a date.
You were more closed off, like, but being it was, like...
Yeah, but I'm also, like, very talkative and I'm very bubbly, so I feel like it can be taken for, like...
I know.
I feel like my personality is, like, naturally a little flirty, but here's the thing. If you think I'm flirting with you, I'm definitely not into you. Because if I'm into you, you'll never think that.
That's
you will never think that I'm
me.
into you. Like, I am so... Like, Dom always says that I will be, like, down the aisle before I admit that I like someone. Like, I am... So if I actually... And it's like subconscious, like I'm lying to myself too. Like I've noticed it, and I'm like, wait. Even when I feel like I genuinely, in my heart of hearts, do not feel like I have feelings for someone, I do the same things though, and then over time I end up having feelings for them.
Are you mean to them? Like, do you get?
No, I'm not mean by any means.
Like mean, not like mean, but like
I'm like I think I'm a little bit more standoffish.
Yeah.
Because I'm just trying to assess the situation. Yeah. I'm trying to like really wrap my head around things.
Were you like that always? Like because you have an ex from.
I've dated quite a few people.
Okay.
Not like a ton, but yeah, I mean, I guess like anyone that I've dated, honestly, it's been like, everyone around
I don't like them.
Everyone around me is like, you guys are in love, and I'm like, I literally am not even interested.
Really?
And then,
and you're like boyfriend, girlfriend.
Yeah, no, not that point. At that point, like we're fine. But honestly, it's because I don't want people to like get you in my head about something to where I make it something that it isn't. So it's really like a self-protective thing of like I have to make this decision for myself and see if this is something that I'm actually interested in, and I don't need. I care if they're not. Like I care about my friends' opinions if it's bad. Yeah. But if they're good, I don't want to care about like as long as they're good, then I'll dip my toe into it secretly kind of vibe, you know? Yeah. But if like they're all against it.
Yeah, it's funny, like, when your friends hype you up about something, then if you hype the person up, and then it makes you nervous.
Yeah, and then I'm like, wait, I hyped you up and I like the idea of you, and I don't actually like you.
Oh, the amount of times that I've done that. I do that with everyone, honestly. Like, I'll go on, like, one date and be like, is this my husband?
Like, are we getting married tomorrow?
Yeah. Yeah. Do you do that? Like, it's terrible. We're working on it in therapy.
Yeah, it's hard. Yes and no. Like, I'm one or the other. I'm either, like, I'm never speaking to this person.
Well, yeah,
Or I'm like, no, like, this is it.
Yeah.
But I've recently, like, I'm like, I am actually, like, very open. I want to fall in love, like, immediately. Like, I love this. I'm ready. And it's not that I haven't been, like, ready before. I just, like, basically woke up one day and was like, all right, well, I'm going to get married. To who? We haven't figured that one out yet. But I've, like, shifted... I feel like my energy on it. So now, I don't know, I think I'm interested to see like how I'll react now because I've gone through so much therapy and I've like really tried to like get better. Yeah. So that's what I keep saying to Dom. Like, I don't feel like I'm gonna be that way. Right. But who knows?
Why did the shift happen?
I don't know.
You just think, wait, how old are you?
26. I'm turning 27 in August.
Okay, so we're the same age.
Yeah.
I think it's something with 27.
Yeah.
I'm not kidding, because I just turned 27 on May 27th, and I went through this weird shift. Yeah. I went through this weird shift. I had a panic crisis, crazy, cried every day, and then I was like, I think I'm ready for a relationship, and like actually ready, not like ready where, because I'm like I think we're similar in this way where I'll go on dates, but I don't like anyone. Yeah. I like hate everyone.
By the way, I like someone once every 2 years.
Me too.
It's so rare.
I've liked like 2 people in my whole life, and when I do, I'm fucking obsessed.
Yeah, it's like I'm all in.
Yeah, like you're the love of my, and they're like, we don't give a fuck if you died. I'm like, I love you.
Yes, I feel that. I also think, like, I am so tired of doing everything alone. Like, me too. I don't want to keep, not that I, like, want someone to actually, like, pay my bills with their money. I mean, that would be nice. I would like that too. But, like, I'm so tired. Yeah, like, I bought my second house already. Yeah. I've done all of these things, like, by myself. And at a certain point, like, I want to build a life with someone. I want to be going on I travel by myself for work all the time. Like, I want to be doing things with someone. I just want to build a life with someone. I feel like I've done everything I can possibly do single. And I'm over it. Like, and I used to love that. I used to be like, this is so much fun. I love the freedom. I love being able to do whatever I want. I can leave and go to Chicago tomorrow if I want to. I loved the freedom. And now it's like I would much rather have that. Also, I have a couple friends who have like a really healthy marriage. And I honestly, this is what it was. I was with two of my like really close friends a couple weeks ago in LA. And they have like the marriage of my dreams. And I just love them both as people. And I left hanging out with them. And I went to Dom's. I was staying at Dom's out of town, and I called her, and I was like, I hate my life, and I had like a spiral.
Oh my god!
And I was like, I just am so ready. Like, I want to fall in love. Like, I want that. Like, why can't that happen? Like, I'm so. And I feel like I have a lot of like weird outlooks on dating. Like, it's really difficult for me to like because I so really like someone. I think I don't even know. I mean, I don't know. It's just like a lot of. I feel like I don't have any issue believing that like things in my career are gonna work out or things with like friendships are gonna work out, but I, for whatever reason, have a really hard time believing like things relationally will work out in like a romantic way.
Have you always felt that way, or has it been a recent thing? Because as you got older, you've been single for like a bit.
I feel like I've actually kind of always felt that way. Because even when I was dating, I remember always thinking like, or in a relationship, like it's so crazy. Like the concept of like two people coming together and being both of them liking the other person, both of them being ready at the exact same time, both of them being willing to be in a relationship. I mean, it's literally a miracle at this point.
It is.
It's so hard to come across.
In this day and age, too.
Yes. So I feel like I felt that way even before. But also I feel like in other areas of my life I've seen things work out. So maybe it's just like the fact that it's like a muscle that you're building, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I had a shift and I was like, I'm so ready. So I'm telling everyone, like, I'm falling in love. I'm just putting it out there.
That's good. I think when you do put it out there, I mean, I think of Serena Kerrigan. She like went on her like current boyfriend's like podcast.
Oh, I'm their biggest fan.
Yeah. Like, no, I love. But she like said like, I'm gonna fall in love this year. I'm gonna be in a relationship this year. And like, she's very like, I'm the same way in the way that like, when I put my mind to something, like it'll just happen. Like I feel like you have to truly believe it and like think it and feel it. For it to happen.
And since I've had this shift, I will say, like, crazy things have happened.
Really?
Like, things that I, like, can't say because it would be too obvious on a podcast, but, like, there's just been things and I'm like, that's really weird. I'm just working on believing that good things are happening to me in that area of my life specifically. You know?
Yes, 100%. And it's weird, like you said, like, things are happening to you, and I don't know what you're going to talk about.
I'll tell you.
But same. Because I had someone initiate like a relationship that I had been wanting something for a while, and it didn't work out, and it was for the best, and it wasn't actually what I thought it was going to be. But it's weird, like I just turned on a switch in my brain and I started attracting all these different situations that I didn't have before. Like it's really weird. So I think it is because when I don't want it, I don't attract it at all. Like I could have a roster of a lot or none. It's really
it's
my
one
mindset.
or the other.
Yeah, and that's always like that for me.
And my issue is that I hate dating. Like,
me too.
I hate it. I would always rather be with my friends or at home by myself.
Literally, I'd rather be home by myself.
Yeah, like always. So it really has to kind of like fall into my lap, which is horrible because like obviously I should just like go out and date whatever. But I have such a specific vibe on like the person that I want, and really the only way that it would like work out. So, I don't know. I mean, I definitely, like, should go on more dates and stuff, but I just, I don't know.
Something I've been doing is honestly just going on Hinge, and I used to have this mindset of, like, I have to have that specific vibe for that person, and I still do believe that, because I think we're both probably very intuitive people.
Yeah.
I can sense and feel if I'm not gonna vibe with a guy. Like, with friends and stuff, that I have a harder time sensing, like, if a person has good intentions or not. But with men, I'll get anxious if I feel, like, I'll get anxious around a person that doesn't give me good vibes.
That's why I can't even, it's hard for me, like, dating. I don't want a roster. I don't want that, like, I don't even want that. I literally just want to be, like, married at this point. Like, I want to skip to marriage. That's really what it is. But it's hard for me because I will get really anxious if I know that they're, like, not good for me. I know that there's no future there. I know, like, I can't just, like, I don't know. Like, it's just, like, I'm not really, like, a roster girl.
Yeah.
I mean, I've done it before, obviously. Yeah. But it just, like, gives me anxiety. It especially gives me anxiety when it's the wrong... I mean, obviously, every person up to now has been the wrong person. But, like, I remember I dated this guy, and this was, like, a couple of years ago, and I was so anxious the entire time. Yeah. The entire relationship. Yeah. And I was having so much fun, though. He's, like, the funniest guy ever. We had, like, the best time. But the entire relationship, I was so anxious, and I kept telling myself, I'm like, no, you just have an anxious attachment type, and that's why you're anxious, even though deep down I knew, like, this is not it, and this is not good for me. And the second we broke up, the anxiety went away. The second.
This literally just happened to me.
Isn't it wild?
Like,
do you know anything about attachment theory?
Yes. Okay. So I don't have an anxious attachment style at all, but this person is extremely avoidant. Yeah. And he created an anxious attachment. Mm-hmm. And because, like, I had things in the past, it created an anxious attachment. And like, that's what did it. So are you, like, typically anxiously attached, or was it just the person that made you anxious?
I think I was anxious prior. Okay. I don't think I'm anxious anymore, but again, like, you don't really know until you're in a relationship again. Yeah. So hopefully I'm not. I feel like I've, like, healed a lot. Yeah. But I was anxiously attached prior to that. So yes, in my, like, longer relationship is when I realized I was anxious, and he was avoidant to the nth degree, but also, like, relied on me for everything. So it created this, like, really weird dynamic, and then it made, I feel like we both just kind of, like, brought out the worst in each other towards the end, like, not even intentionally. Yeah. So then, as it just naturally, as, like, a relationship gets unhealthy, I think that probably happens for everyone. Mm-hmm. But then, the next guy that I dated, I already had an anxious attachment type or theory, and I learned so much about it because of that relationship. So then I was just trying to make excuses for myself, so that I could stay with him, because he was
that's
so
what
funny.
We do. We rationalize it because it's like you want it to work. Even though you like, your intuition could be saying, like, okay, there's like a 99% chance this is not going to work. Your 1% of your brain that has the hope that it's going to work will keep you going.
And it's like, it's crazy how women, we will just ignore ourselves for someone else. Yeah. Like, we will, like, I feel like with guys, they're so much quicker to be like, no, absolutely not.
I come first. Guys, it's always I come first.
And with girls, it's like,
you come first.
I will make this work.
Yes.
But with a guy, like, they're way less likely to make something work. Yeah. You know?
Like, their communication, too. It's like, if your communication styles are different, they're like, well, this is my communication style.
Yeah. Yes.
So
that's it.
Yeah. And you're like, well, that's not my communication style.
I'm like, that's actually not really how that works.
Yeah.
But sure.
Yeah. It's like, doesn't make sense to me. But what happened that caused, like, that relationship to actually end? Like, what was the final straw that?
Honestly, I don't even remember. It was a relationship. It was just, it was so dumb. We dated for such a short period of time, but it was just very hot and cold, and it was very, like, love bombing immediately. Okay, but we were both, I mean, it was like the second that I, like, shook this guy's hand, I knew we were gonna date. Like, it was literally the second I met him, that was it. And it was so extreme and hot and cold, and so it just, like, one day we were both just cold. But it was pretty quick. It was, like, very short period of time. Yeah. But it was really intense. So at that time, it really triggered the, like, anxious attachment stuff. Yeah. Obviously, also because of love bombing, this is another thing I'm working about on. I, like, love, like, meeting someone and immediately, like, we're together, that's it. And I'm learning now, like, oh, maybe a slow burn is better. Yeah. Like, maybe it's okay if it's not, like, even when I, like, was with a guy, like, not that long ago, and I was saying to one of my friends, like, I'm not, like, into him, though. And they were like, I mean, things can grow. And I was like, oh. But it wasn't, we weren't in, like, the context of, like, dating, like, not dating or anything like that. But I was like, I've never even, like, really considered that.
I believe that things can grow. Like, I believe if you are friends with a guy, like, my first boyfriend, we were friends first. And then we started dating and fell in love. Yeah. But I think, like, if you're meeting someone on a dating stance, like, you have to find at least for me, like, I have to find the person attractive. I have to have, like, banter off the bat. And I think it falls somewhere in the middle. Okay. Like, you don't want it to be, and the reason I know this is because I'm surrounded by an entire family of healthy relationships. Every single person, knock on wood, in my family, including both sets of grandparents, have been married forever. And so I've seen a lot, and even all my friends' parents, like, I've just been lucky to be surrounded by a lot of love. And, like, my parents, there was a spark in the beginning. So people that are like, there shouldn't be a spark, I don't think that's true. I think you want a spark in the beginning because you want to always be, like, turned on by that person and, like, courting them still and wanting to go on dates, like, excited by them. You don't want to be bored. Agreed. Like, I had a friend that her ex-boyfriend, like, she would always brag. She'd be like, yeah, it's just a slow burn. And they broke up, like, a year ago because it was like boring and it didn't work, you know?
I think it could happen when you're friends. I don't mean that, like, I wasn't like on a date with this guy. Like, that would not, but it was just like, I think it happened. I mean, I dated a couple of friends and those were honestly the best relationships that I've had.
Yeah.
So it did work out. It's nice because it's really nice dating your friends because you know them as people prior, whereas if you meet someone just off an app, like, you don't know their past, like, 5-10 years of their life, and then also you don't know who are, like, vouching for them. Now my thing is that I need to be set up through friends.
It's so true.
Preferably friends that have known that person for 10 years, because then I feel like it just feels a lot safer.
It does, completely. I think, like, every time my friend has set me up with someone, like, at least if it didn't work out, at least I know they're, like, a nice person and, like, mean well, and, like, I know what their intentions are. Because the worst is when you go on a date or you meet someone randomly and, like, you can have great chemistry, but their intentions are just not good. Like, or they don't know what they want. Like,
I feel like it saves you time because you don't have to figure that out.
It does. It just saves you so much time. I could have been saved so much time if, like, I knew the friends of the people that I was dating, like, even, like, the guys, to be like, dude, our friend is not looking for, like, to settle down.
Even just to watch their friends. You can tell so much about someone by who they hang out with.
Yeah, it's...
Like, you don't even really need them to tell you if they suck or not. Like, you just need to see them.
I know.
You know?
I know. You can tell, like, completely. And, like, if the friends are douchey or, like, something really telling for me, it's not always true, but it's somewhat true. When a lot of the friends are in relationships or settled down, it encourages that person to be more proactive about dating and settling down. Because I do you believe in, like, the...
taxi cab?
Yeah, the taxi cab theory.
I believe in the taxi cab theory, but I also think that... kind of what I was saying earlier, and by no means am I trying to be a male apologist on this, but I do think there's something in men that they're a little bit more logical, and sometimes that's good. Yeah. So, like, whereas a girl, what I was saying earlier, like, I will run my life, or I would have run my life into the ground to make something work with someone. Totally. When clearly, like, if you have to change everything about you, like, that is not the right person for you. And a guy thinks a little bit more logically. They do. And they make almost like some very, 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 very rarely will make a better decision in a relationship. So I think that there are so many guys who are with the wrong people just because of the taxi. If you don't know what the taxi cab theory is, by the way, it's basically like when a guy is ready to get married, it's like whoever like pulls up and gets in the taxi, it's like
the next person.
It's the next person, right? So it could have been, it's not because they love that girl more or they're happy or whatever, it's really just because it was the right time. Right. But I also think at the same time, like, I do think timing is like really important. Yeah. So I think there's a lot of people who are with really like, I think there's like good, great, and best. And I think that they're worth like good or great, but they could have been with best. Right. If it was like a little bit different. So I don't think like taxi cab theory is like the worst thing in the world, but I agree with you on like their friends. Like I'm looking for someone who I think I want to be set up through friends. I want all of their friends to be like engaged and married, so that like they've also. I think there's something to be said about like you just learn a lot from that. You know?
Completely. Yeah, it's when the friends are all still going out and like that's fine sometimes, but it really is like you look at the lifestyle that the friends are living and like the people they're surrounded by, and even like I think a lot about career too, and I'm like, are you prioritizing like your career right now? Like, do you care about like being a provider? Like, I care about that. Like, I want a guy that's a provider. I always am gonna have my money and my own whatever, like, because that's important to me. But I think it's also important that if I'm with a guy, because I have to have your babies, you have a drive to like provide for our children.
I agree.
Like, it's so important. What are some of those things that do you have like similar? Like, what's your like? What do you look for? Like, if you were just saying like what you look for in a guy.
I like someone who's really funny. Like, I always like humor, but I always have the funniest friends in the world. Like, Dawn and Macy are my
she's the funniest ever.
Yeah, they're literally the funniest people ever. So humor is really big. I actually, like, I think in the recent years, I thought I was gonna, like, be with someone who's, like, in cowboy boots, a belt, has, like, a hammer in hand.
I really love that, honestly.
You know? I think I've really, like, wanted that recently. But at the end of the day, like, all the men in my family are very emotional. Like, my dad is like a crier, and they're very like in tune with their emotions, and just like always having very open conversations. So at the end of the day, like I like a boy who's like a little bit more emotional and creative, but not not like creative in the sense of like, for example, like Dom and I always say like when we were in college, like Dom wanted a boy who like basically looked like they were dead, like and had like their nails are painted and they were like
when you say this stuff on the picture.
Yeah, like that's what she like literally like at a skate park, like I don't even know, like I have
like little like tattoos that
yes,
are little lines.
and it's like 90 pounds.
Yeah,
like that's what she wanted. So like I don't mean like that kind of, but I like creative, like not even in the sense of like creative, like you can be like business creative. I don't care what it is.
Yeah.
But I also like just something logistically that I really want in someone is I want someone who does not work a 9 to 5 and doesn't have a boss preferably. Like I want someone who's like the freedom that I have because I've worked so hard to have this freedom.
Yeah.
And I don't want it to be taken from me because naturally like you would then have your spouse would have to be reporting. Like I want someone who's like doing their own thing and can also like I want to be able to like go live in Nashville for a couple months. I want to go like I need that freedom.
Yeah.
I also really like someone who's who can talk to anyone. Like that's my biggest thing. I actually don't want you to be the loudest in the room. I've done that and I realized that like they're also the most insecure.
Yeah, they're not.
Yeah, it's not the vibe. Yeah. But I like someone who can talk to anyone in the room. Yeah. Like I need someone who's outgoing. I like my biggest ick is like when you're somewhere socially and like they are like at your hip, like attached to you. Like they want to like sew their skin up to you.
It's the worst quality. They need to be able to interact with your, like even like for other people, like with your boss, with your friends, with your family. Like you need to be able to hold it down so I can go walk away and socialize.
Yes. You need to be able to like do that. And it's a really attractive quality too. Like just being able, because like I'm such a people person, like I really do love people. So I care about that.
Yeah, me too. Yeah. And I don't even care as much, like I don't need you to be, like you said, the most like outgoing. Like I actually sometimes prefer a guy that knows how to like be quiet and listen because I'm such a chit chatter. Yeah. Like I talk so much. So that's like fine, but I definitely someone that has good social skills.
Totally.
And is like a kind person.
Yeah.
Like
one thing about me is that I like a nice boy. I've always been that way. I've never had a phase where I liked the asshole. And if I ever did, it's because they ended up turning into an asshole later in life. Like I love someone who is just genuinely so kind. Like that, I've always been that way. I just like really nice people. I don't like someone who like treats me horribly.
Yeah.
I'm not attracted to that.
Yeah. No, my sister has always been like that too. Like she always dates the sweet boys and I'm like, that says a lot about your self-worth and like how you feel about yourself, honestly, because you want to be treated well and you care about someone that actually is in touch with their emotions and like.
Yeah. And also, I like want something to work. Yeah. So I know that it's not gonna work. I think you know what I mean? And it's like we're not even gonna be together. Yeah. You know? And like don't get me wrong, I've definitely like been with people who suck, but for the most part they're like nice guys.
Yeah. Like what was your first like relationship? How did you meet the person?
My very, very first
like first love, like first like real love.
We actually okay.
What?
We like met on a trip like through mutual friends.
Oh really? Yeah. Okay, so that's why you seek like the mutual friends.
I think what set me up for success, actually, it's not even my first love. It was like my very, very first boyfriend, and he stayed in my life for like a decade plus, probably after this. But this started. I mean, it was like middle school, and I like you know when you have like your middle school, but like account, like whatever. We dated for like a very substantial period of time.
Wow.
And he was just such a good guy. Like we were friends before. We grew up like to this day. We still have like the same friends. Like he was the best guy ever, and he was very formative in my life. Like in like my early teen years. Even then, I mean, like they visited me in LA. Like we always like stayed in touch, and we were like great friends. Like even in our like early 20s. So I think like being with someone, I remember even when I was young, my dad saying like dating is gonna really be hard for you later because like this is like cream of the crop and obviously you guys are gonna break up, like you're 15.
Yeah.
But he's like, it's gonna be really hard for you because he's so great and he's so right. Like after that, like I'm like, we always joke, I'm like, God, I really peaked that. He's such a good guy. Like we were not, that's not what I want in life. He was just such a great guy. And I think that really helped.
Yeah. Did your friends really like him? Like
we had the same friends, so yeah.
Yeah, because you met through mutuals. Yeah. So, right? So yeah, that's
we like literally met at church camps, like so Texas. Yeah.
That's the most Texas thing ever.
It's the most Texas thing ever, and I would always have like a church camp boyfriend.
Oh, that's so accurate for like Jewish camp is literally the same thing.
I think that's like the whole point of camp is how
did you guys did people like hook up at church camp? Like what happens at church camp?
Yeah. Like a lot of people like smoked weed for the first time at camp too. Really? Yeah. And Also, like, Young Life camp was actually, by the time I was old enough to go to Young Life, like, that wasn't really a thing anymore. But that was, like, the craziest. People were, like, yeah, they were, like, hooking up, doing drugs, like, at Young Life.
I'm dead.
It's, like, crazy. At least, like, my school, like, I know Young Life is, like, serious other places. Like, Young Life was the biggest joke.
Wait, what is that, like, the...
Young Life is, like, a high school ministry, I think.
Okay,
like,
gotcha.
Middle school ministry. I never did it because it was, like, done by the time. I
Yeah.
probably wouldn't have done it anyways.
Yeah.
But, yeah, people were. But this was, like, a wholesome time. We were, like... But I had a different camp crush. Like, I liked someone else. That was one of his friends, but he liked me, and then he just kind of won over time. So.
Wow. Yeah, that's how you know.
Yeah.
They just keep winning you over.
Yeah.
So what about friends now? Like, living in Dallas, how did you meet your, like, current best friends?
So a lot of us grew up together.
Uh-huh.
A lot of my friends from Dallas, like, everyone ended up moving, because we grew up in the suburbs, and a lot of people ended up moving to Dallas post-grad.
Mm-hmm.
So... like, a lot of my, like, my closest girlfriends there, I knew them in, like, we were friends, like, best friends, like, elementary school, middle school.
Yeah.
So we all really reconnected. It wasn't that we, like, talked every day all the
Yeah.
time forever. We were all, like, friendly, like, on great terms, and, like, loved each other, but, like, we went to different schools, or, we had, like, 27 schools in town. Like, you could go anywhere.
Oh my god.
So we all just kind of reconnected, and then I met Macy through, like, online, obviously,
Yeah,
and then... a lot of my other, like, close friends, it's just been, like, friends of friends.
When you went to LA, did you feel weird? Or, like, what were the vibes like when you went and, like, friends were going to college and, like, doing different things and you were doing... But I guess you were kind of doing content way before that.
Yeah,
anyways.
and I moved out my senior year, so they were all still at home. So they weren't going to college yet. So it wasn't as weird.
But what was everyone's reaction? And, like, what was everyone's reaction before that with you just growing up and doing... content and stuff?
Honestly, people were really not. I only have like maybe one or two instances where people were like mean about it. Like a lot of people's story was like they were like brutally broke, like bullied.
Yeah, that's why I always am curious with people that grew up doing it.
I wasn't bullied by any means, but also I was a floater, so I had a friend in every group. So
That's
I think
amazing.
that helped because like there wasn't one group that was gonna like gang up on me.
Yeah,
I had a friend.
Yeah, you had someone to vouch for you.
Yeah, like there was a couple people who were dicks about it, but like whatever. And yeah, when I moved, honestly, I always just say I was so young, so I was so naive. Like, it made it a lot easier. I think it would have been a lot harder to move at, like, 22 or 23.
Right.
Because I had more of a grasp of reality at that point. But I moved at 17. So I was just young and naive and excited. And that was just kind of it. Like, it wasn't... Obviously, it was something that we, like, put a lot of thought into. But, again, I was so young and naive. I wasn't really thinking about, like, oh, my friends are off going to college. It was a little weird when they all left because... I was like, oh wow. But I never dreamt of a traditional like college experience. I never wanted to join a sorority. I never wanted to do any of that stuff. So it wasn't like I felt like I was missing out on anything at the time.
Right.
And I still don't feel that way. I think it would have been weirder if I like wanted to rush and stuff.
Yeah. It's funny because I could so see you being that person in another
life. I know.
Life,
That's what's weird is that if you know me, you would think that. But even now, I'm like, I don't have any regrets about like not like I wouldn't have liked Greek life.
Which
is weird.
And I'm not even saying it because like you should have regrets because you absolutely shouldn't. Like I think everyone does what you're meant to do, like truly.
But there's another life where I'm with the president.
In another life. You were literally social chair of your sorority.
Yeah,
I
was like student council president and like growing up.
It's
so
the
like
same,
it would have been
energy.
Yeah, it would have been like what made sense, but I don't know what it is about. I don't know. I just like never wanted to do it.
Yeah. When you got to LA, did you have a hard time like making friends and like how did you find people when you got there?
So I knew a good amount of people just because of YouTube, but LA is very isolating, it's very spread out, and no one has time for anyone. Like I see my LA friends, I think more now that I don't live there. Like when I was there, everyone, you're 40 minutes away from each other, just depending on where you're living in the city. Everyone's booked and busy. It's not a city that like prioritizes friendship. Now my friends that I have there do, and I feel like I would be with them all the time and things are different, but also we're in a different place, like in our careers, and we're like making more money, so it's easier to like spend more time with your friends. But
of course.
Yeah, it was definitely very isolating though. It was very difficult, but because I moved so young, I was like, no, I love it. It's amazing. I was so stubborn about it. I don't think I would have ever admitted to myself that like I wasn't really loving it.
And it's still exciting either way, I feel like. Like when you're just in that like world, you're like, oh my god, this is just crazy. Were you going to like events? Like were you going to parties?
Yeah, we were going to events and parties and stuff, and yeah, it was wild. It was, and honestly, it feels like a different life. Like, it's hard for me to even like sometimes Molly, who's like one of my best friends, and she was my roommate the first year, like we'll just text about it. She's like, do you remember this happened? I'm like, no, I genuinely haven't thought about that in 8 years. Like it feels like
another
it was
lifetime.
another lifetime. Like that was not me. I don't remember it at all.
Do you have any crazy stories of like crazy LA like parties or interactions or just like so LA things that happened while you were out there?
I think I was just shocked. I don't know if I can say this on the podcast. I was just shocked by the amount of coke. That was like, and like the amount, like I had never seen that much cocaine in my life. And we actually did have coke at our like high school parties, but like it was in the bathroom. We had it like my last year. It was crazy. Like it wasn't like everyone was doing it by any means, but it was like, oh, they just went to the bathroom. Like it was shocking then. But when I got to LA, I was like, I was like shell shocked. Like I couldn't believe how much coke there was. That was, I guess, like the one thing. And it's always like, I mean, it's like people that you would know. But it was wild. It's like I was 17. I had no idea that everyone was drinking coke. I literally didn't know. And now it's like it's so common in Dallas, but like it was different then. It wasn't like coke now is like it's everywhere. But it wasn't that way then.
Yeah.
So like
I forget that. Yeah, when
it was
we were
different.
17.
Yeah,
and also just being that age and being exposed to all these like older people like doing that.
And I would like talk to my friends who lived in other cities, and they were like, "That's not normal."
Yeah,
like, it really wasn't normal though. Like it wasn't. It was just so crazy.
It's very LA and New York back then. Like those were the people doing it. Like the richer people in LA and New York.
Yeah,
but it's funny because when I went to LA, like the people that you just don't expect or don't think are doing it, and you're like, wait, what?
I'm like, I didn't see this one coming, but
you never do. It's like the people that like say they don't drink.
Yeah.
Like that.
Yeah.
What about with like the LA culture? I know health and wellness and image is like very big. Did you ever feel like affected by that when you were there?
So weirdly, not really, but that's because I ended up having a lot of friends who were like quote normal people.
That's
like they weren't trying to be famous, they weren't even in entertainment. So I feel like my LA experience, because I ended up going to like a very niche college there. So like my LA experience ended up being more of that than it was in that world. If I was in that world, I'm sure it would have affected me, but I really like took a step back, and none of my friends were influencers. None of my, I mean, some of them were. I have like TK and stuff. Like honestly,
TK is the most normal down to earth.
Yeah, she's the most normal person ever.
Yeah,
and she was, I don't know if she was an influencer at that. No, she was. But yeah, I really surrounded myself more, not even intentionally, but I just ended up hanging out with people who were just like not in that scene. So it didn't affect me as much because I wasn't in that world.
Yeah.
But if I was in that world, of course it would have affected me way more, but I wasn't in that like circle.
Do you ever struggle with it now? Just being online with image and with...
Yeah, I mean, yes, but I'm really lucky to have like a healthy relationship with it. Like it's never been, obviously there's things that like there's insecurities and days that like I don't feel good and things that I don't love, but I've never, it's never been like, I think my biggest issue has always been like anxiety. So it's not been my main problem. Like I've obviously like struggled with things, but it's like mine's like other things are worse, if that makes any sense.
Completely.
So it feels like it's like not as big of a deal because the other stuff is worse.
I so get it. Because like even like I've struggled with anxiety my whole life too, but I'll have times where my anxiety gets better and then my like body image gets worse. Or like, you know, like I feel like there's different, your brain has a way of like prioritizing different like issues. Did people in your family have anxiety? Is that why?
Yes.
Like
it runs in my family, but also another thing with body image is that I don't remember my mom ever saying anything negative about herself ever growing up.
Yeah, I was gonna ask. Yeah.
That I think is really what helped me, because I'll never forget like when I was in high school and we would like all come to my house and get ready and like start doing our makeup for the parties and stuff. And like girls would like sit there and like tear themselves apart, and it was really jarring for me because we didn't do that at my house ever. Like I hadn't like experienced that, and so I'm really grateful to my mom because I remember being like, that's not good. Like that's gonna make you hate yourself. Like I don't want to do that. I don't want to talk about myself that way. Not that I've never done that in my life, but that was a very like pivotal moment in my young teen years of like, I don't want to talk about myself like that because I'm going to get into like a very bad headspace. Yeah. Not that that's avoidable all the time at all, but I didn't grow up in a family that we weren't very focused on like looks and things like that.
It's really like, it's like honestly, and it sounds so stupid, but it is like inspiring to like hear a story of someone that just grew up in that kind of normal environment surrounding body image, because it shows that you can have a good normal relationship with it. Especially like I come from, I don't know if it's like a thing in like Jewish culture, but it especially, like I know it's everywhere, but it's especially in like Jewish culture. Like my mom's, my aunts, like everyone's very body image focused, very image focused, and it makes you obsessed. So it's like, there's hope, and it shows that it really does make a difference when you're raised in an environment that isn't obsessed with image.
Yeah, and my mom is just very... My mom is the most laid-back person, non-judgmental person you'll ever meet, and she is not impressed by anything, not in a negative way, but like,
no, that's
my mom like would not be able to tell you which Kardashian is which. Like, she's so out of touch with that stuff. So yeah, and like as I got older, I think honestly, if I would have grown up with her in her adult years, because my mom like had Hashimoto's and cured it and did all that stuff through food, and so now she's Gwyneth Paltrow. I think that it would have changed, and she wasn't doing it for vanity; it was truly for health.
Of course.
But I do think that if I grew up with her as a kid, that's how she is now. It would have been totally different. Yeah. Not because she's even like that for body image, but just because the topic is always brought up. We weren't raised in like, it really is like a health conscious house. Like it wasn't. I don't know, it just wasn't, like, I don't remember people talking about their bodies and stuff growing up, so I think that is really where it comes from. But now, it's like, that's my number one thing. I never want to talk about my body ever in front of, I won't even do it in front of, like, my friends, because I feel like it's like, I'm gonna, like, make them sick or something. Like, and that's probably unhealthy, because, like, maybe I should, like, process things a little bit more, but I have a therapist, so, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know if it's even true, but I really do connect like my like positive body image to not having talked about my body and like that not being a focus growing up. Yeah. So I really want to like continue that with like my children.
It's so important, and even with your followers and just the amount of people that you have in your audience, like for the focus to just be everything else and to show a really successful, beautiful, like amazing woman that just you're not touching on that. Like you're talking about working out because you like it, because it makes you feel, it's about how it feels, because of your mental health. Like I think it's just so important that like there's just like there's more important things to life. And it doesn't mean that, I think there's a misconception that like if you don't focus on that it means you let yourself go. And it's like we're both proof that that's not true. Like you can be beautiful and be fit and whatever, but it doesn't need to be the sole focus of everything.
And for me, a lot of it's self-talk too.
Totally.
Which is huge. And I mean, obviously, but I mean, even just in the past couple of years where obviously it's like back to like being skinny. I don't want to say like being skinny is a trend, but like
it is.
It is. Like, and that there was a little bit of time where I was like, wait, this is like kind of bothering. Like I feel like a little bit weird. Like, and I don't even really know what I did, because I did end up stopping feeling that way, but it did affect me. Like it did. It was very subconscious, and I was like, wait, okay, like, just because... And I'm also, like, if we're talking about, like, Ozempic specifically, I'm also, like, I don't give a fuck what anyone does. Yeah. I'm all for it if, like, that's what you want to do. Genuinely, I actually think it's an amazing tool for a lot of people.
For sure.
But it made me, when everyone around you was, like, losing so much weight, you're like, wait, should I lose so much weight? Yeah, should I be 100%. Doing that? And again, I'm actually very pro Ozempic. I think it's an amazing thing. But I was a lot more aware of my body for a period of time. And... I really don't even know what I did, because it did eventually kind of go away, so I literally have no clue. But I do remember that affecting me. Like I just started to think about it more, and I noticed it because I don't think about it as much. Like
I literally just got off the phone with my mom, who was talking about how so many of her friends are on Ozempic and how they are so severely, like a lot of them, I mean, not that they're like anorexic, but their habits are just a little concerning. Even like coming off Ozempic, like you want to be able to like have a healthy, balanced lifestyle, and a lot of them aren't going back to that. And it's even hard for someone like my mom's age that like is surrounded by it. It's just, you can't help it when you hear people talking in a certain manner, like you're affected by it. And like I felt the same exact way. Like I still am struggling with the whole Ozempic thing. I talk about it on here all the time. I talk about it on TikTok. Like it makes you aware. Like it just makes you aware of your body. And I try to be less and less aware.
Yeah, because you have to like, at the end of the day, like how you react and respond to something really is fully on you. Yeah. So you have to take like ownership of that, and also recognize that like even the concept of like triggers, it's like, okay, well like why am I like getting to the root of that within yourself? And yeah, it's definitely another thing too that I will say is that Macy and I were talking about this very recently, because even at the gym that we work out in, she went and worked out somewhere else and then came back and they were talking all about like, oh, your body and this and that. And she's like, the gym that we've gone to the past 2 years, they've never once mentioned our bodies, like ever. We were with someone who started talking about her body and she was like, it made me like so grateful for like our friendships that we have with each other and other people, because the focus has never been on our bodies. Yeah. So I feel like I've just been very lucky to be in environments where that's just not a topic.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know how I've gotten so lucky to be in those things, but I do think there has to be a large connection, because even just seeing it online, naturally, any girl is gonna kind of feel like weird.
Yeah,
you know?
Completely. My 2 best friends, like I've been so lucky because when I went off to college, I was around a lot of people I was around some people that actually helped me, and then later on was around people that actually hurt me because they were going through their own like eating disorders or disordered eating. But my 2 best friends from high school have like super healthy relationships with food, but have also struggled like anyone else. And so it's so important to have the support system where it's like you all are aware that it can be damaging and harmful. And if you ever have a problem or are having a body image issue, you can help each other. But it's also like, I don't know, just, the awareness of, like, you're not going to talk about stuff that's going to make anyone else feel bad.
Yeah.
Even talking bad about yourself sometimes,
yeah,
in turn ends up affecting other people.
Totally.
Like, me being like, if I were to go around being like, oh, I feel like I'm overweight or something, and then someone else would be like, wait, then
well,
am I?
if you think that you're right, then am I?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So,
it's just not, it could also be, I mean, girls in Dallas or just in Texas in general are beautiful. Like,
I know.
They're just so naturally beautiful. So I don't mean it, but it's not. Dallas definitely is a lot more, like, there's a circle of Dallas that's a lot more about, like, looks and stuff.
Yeah.
But, like, Dallas as a whole, like, the actual, like, the large population isn't that way. There's definitely a pocket.
Yeah.
But, like, Texas, I don't know, maybe it's also just, like, growing up in Texas. I don't know.
Because when I think of Dallas, I think of, like
plastic surgery.
Plastic surgery, big titties, big lips.
We, no, actually, I think in Houston, they invented the boob job.
Really?
Shannon told me that last time she was at my house.
Oh
She just got plastic surgery in Dallas. It's not really surgery. She got that, like, left. Oh, I guess it is. She got, like, the eye thing.
Who did?
Shannon Ford.
Oh,
so she was over.
Yeah, I just saw. Oh my god, yeah.
There's definitely a part of Dallas, don't get me wrong, that is like that, but like the large majority of people who are actually, it's not really.
Yeah. So when it comes to like your podcast and your work and everything, like what are some of your like goals? Like what are you looking forward to?
I'm really loving like my home brand friend of mine. I really want that in like anthropology.
Oh,
and, like
I could it's so on brand.
That is like what I really, really want. And the podcast, I just love the podcast. Like I love sitting and talking. I do that with my friends.
I know, we both are, that's our thing. Right?
It's so much fun. I love doing live shows. I don't want to do them probably this year, like maybe again next year. But I feel like my main focus is really growing friend of mine right now.
And that's like your passion right now. I love that. That's awesome. Fun. Thank you so much for chit-chatting with me and coming on. This was so fun. Tell everyone where they can find you.
Thank you for having me. Kenzie the Texan on TikTok, and then it's Kenzie Elizabeth on YouTube, Instagram. My podcast is House Guest Podcast. We're recording another episode as well.
Yes.
So go listen to that.
Yes, go head over to hers to listen after. Thank you guys so much for listening. Be sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel. Give this a 5-star rating and review. And be sure to follow us on Instagram at RealWithCW and TikTok at Real with Carly Weinstein. And we love you, and we'll see you in the next episode. Bye.
What a wonderful world.